Coming up on Unpacked, the second chapter.
2.2 million or whatever people have seen my face. I did get a confession that says that he did rape me, but nothing has changed.
Would you say he loved you?
No, I don't think there's anyone that man loves. But at the end of the day, we must all try and learn to just forgive.
We had an episode titled Raped by My Father, where Zizo Apleni joined us to share the story of her experience at the hands of the man who contributed to her DNA, her biological father. The story has touched many around the world, but so many of you still had questions, so we decided to bring her back to come and answer some of them and to bring us up to speed with where she is at in life today. Let's take a look.
He took my panties off and he was already naked under the blankets, and he just penetrated me and immediately turned me underside him, and he continued with his act of raping me. He became angry and he said that it's not what he was doing. It's not what he was doing, and that if I continue talking about this, then no one will love me. The police officers decided that they had to go and arrest him the same day, when I spoke about it. And we went back home and we heard that he is actually denying it. I needed to do a medical abortion because now the only thing that is standing between him and me is the fetus.
So he's still in prison?
Yes, he's still in prison.
Would you say you have forgiven him?
Yes, I have forgiven him. I have forgiven him because I learned that not forgiving him is only setting me back.
Zizo, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for coming through to the second chapter.
Thank you so much for having me, Sis Lebo. Thank you so much.
I want to start off by saying your episode to this day will receive comments every second day, if not every day, on YouTube. Now, I'm not sure, have you still been keeping up with the comments, or have people still been getting in touch with you?
No, definitely not. It's been very overwhelming for me. Just the thought of knowing that 2.2 million or whatever people have seen my face. So I haven't, just for the first times, but then now yeah.
So before we get into the details of how many millions have watched you and heard your story, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good today. I'm feeling great. I woke up on the right side of bed, if I may say so. I'm feeling good. Yes.
I immediately, when we, got connected, was like, you look well rested. You look well rested. You look so well. And I think it's important to highlight that because so many comment that they would have never survived what you went through, but this is you today. Are you feeling how you look? Is life like how you look, well and well rested?
Oh, definitely. It is. It is, but it's a one day at a time thing. The healing never really stops, but we just take it one day at a time.
So why did you agree to come on Unpacked, a show which, we did not know at the time that it was going to get as big as what it has gotten? What made you decide, actually, I'm going to come through and speak to this woman?
All right. So when I took up the invitation to come and speak at the show, I knew that I had an impact to make. I've always known that I had a purpose to fulfill, and it was just another stepping stone to help me reach that purpose.
So what would you share that purpose is?
The purpose of my story is to teach people about forgiveness, because I can just imagine just how many people are going through so many things in life and they are struggling to forgive. And I know that my story is not one that is easy to grasp, and it's not one that makes it easy for one to relate to. So even for me now to say to people, hey, I've forgiven this man, that is also a big thing. And that is the whole purpose of my story, to teach people about forgiveness. It doesn't matter what a person has done to you, but at the end of the day, we must all try and learn to just forgive people.
Mm. At some point in our conversation, you were sharing about how your father's family and many people, and we got to see it in the comment section, just simply do not believe you. How do you respond to that? Because it's a societal issue where people cannot fathom that to be true for many different reasons.
It really did hurt. It really did hurt, because I did not think that my father's family would be the very same people who would not believe me, because I spent most of my time with them. And when I was with my father and with them, I was this pride and joy, because I was the first granddaughter. And, when I was with them as a family, things were just going smoothly. They loved me. But then to realize now that maybe all of that was just not real, because after me coming out with my truth, they did not believe me. Instead, they chose to believe their brother.
Do they still only believe him today?
Yes, they do.
So what is your relationship with your father's family? Because that's grandmother, grandfather, aunts, uncles, cousins.
There is no relationship. And I do also want to just put it out there now that my father is out of prison. He is out on parole. He's living his life, and he still has his own narrative that none of this ever happened. So you can still just imagine what I'm going through. His family is still chasing me with the story of lying about their brother and all of that. But yeah.
How long did he spend in prison, and what was he actually convicted for?
I don't know, honestly. I was never told. I only heard that I need to go to court. I need to go to prison, because there are programs that he does there where he has to speak to his victim and all of that. And even then, when I wanted to query about how long he was in there for, or what was he convicted for, and it was just that he was convicted for raping me, but it coming out of his mouth, I never got it. And I also never got to know how many years he was convicted for.
So did you take up the invitation to go to that session of, it's some kind of reconciliation program that they do?
I did take the invitation, because in as much as I had forgiven my father, but there were people I needed them to hear him confess that he actually did it. And most of those people were my family, because when you're a victim and the people, his family now was like, no, this is a lie. I also wasn't sure about what my family thought about it. Maybe they were scared to tell me that they also don't believe me. So him saying it in front of my family that he actually did do it, then I was like, okay, my job here is done.
So talk us through, what that process is like, because many of us are not familiar. Are you invited into a person's, is it outside of the prison? Is it in prison, in one of a meeting room? Can you chat us through how that worked, and for you specifically, who came with you, what happened, and what he said?
All right. So it's a program where the offender writes a letter to you as the victim and inviting you that it's called offender victim dialogue. So he invites you to this dialogue where you will sit with his social worker, the prison warder, and some people from the prison, and then it's your family and his family. But at first, we didn't get his family there. It was just my family. My mom was there, my aunt was there, and my uncles were there supporting me. So they were all there to hear what he has to say. And obviously, I had my own questions that I had to ask, even though I didn't get answers from what he was saying, but I did get a confession that says that he did rape me and he is apologetic about it.
So maybe let me start on the part of the questions you had for him, even if they weren't answered. What did you have to ask him?
I basically asked him as to, does he really know the depth of what he did to me? Because at times it just didn't seem like that. Even now, it doesn't seem like he understood exactly what he was doing, what he thought it was only for a few hours to multiply to many other years. But he didn't really have an answer for me as to think just how much damage he caused to me. And I had to highlight those damages, that I struggled with school. Now the doctors say I can't have babies. It's just a whole lot. And having people mocking me about what happened to me, So I just wanted him to get the impact of what he did to me.
Was he able to receive and acknowledge that?
No. I think he just received and acknowledged it because of the situation that we were in and with the people who were observing. But now that he is out, he's still denying it. So I do not think that he meant whatever he did, whatever he said in prison at that time.
What was the social worker's role in that process? Was it just to mediate, or was the social worker also in a position to give input to the contents of the conversation?
So the social worker was there to basically explain the program to us and what it entails and why a perpetrator has to go through those certain steps. Otherwise, the mediator was the prison warder or something like that. He was the mediator of the whole meeting, and the social worker was just there writing notes and just getting everything together.
So with his family not being a part of that, because you said that was the first part, does it mean there was a second meeting, or that was just...
Yes, there was a second meeting. Now that we asked that his family also be present, so that they can also get to hear from his side. Even then, he did confess, he did apologize, but nothing has changed still.
And are you at a place yet? I mean, you speak to say you've forgiven him. Have you accepted that he's unwilling to take full responsibility and be accountable for his actions?
I have not accepted because he makes it very hard for me to. Now that he is out, he's living his life, I'm able to hear a lot of things. So it's quite difficult for me to kind of accept that what he was saying. It's very difficult for me at the moment because I'm still there's just a lot of noise going on, which at the moment I'm not really able to shut out because the information comes to me.
If I may ask, who is delivering this information to you?
It's family members from his side that are supposedly on my side. And they would be like, oh, your dad was saying this about you and all of that. So it's things like that just come to me involuntarily.
Have you considered getting a restraining order against him to just future-proof him getting any access to you, or are you open to, engaging with him again?
I am collecting evidence. I am collecting proof that he is sending me, he is talking about me or saying these things about me, because I do have a feeling that if anything would happen, the justice system must know that I had been collecting something to let them know that this guy was still abusing me while he is outside on parole.
Basically abusing you through family members.
Yes.
Yes. Do you know where he lives? Like, do you have access to that information?
No, I do not know where he lives. And that's why because the day he got out, I was in Umtata, and he also lives in Umtata last time I checked. So I made a decision last year that part of me coming to live in Pretoria was because of that, because I didn't want to bump into him while I was walking on the street or anything like that. So at the moment, I know that he is in Umtata, but I don't know exactly where he is.
Are you in fear of your life, or are you still afraid of him?
I'm not afraid of him. I'm just annoyed by the whole situation. And I'm just trying to avoid anything that has to do with him. But being scared of him, I can't say that I'm scared of him. I'm just annoyed.
So what does your family say now, having heard an apology come from him, having had your uncles, your family in the room? What have they expressed to you now that he is, out of prison, but he has acknowledged, not necessarily taken responsibility? He said, I did these things and I'm sorry.
All right. So my family is I would say that is also very forgiving. And they take what I give them. So if I tell them that I'm okay about the whole situation, they also like, oh, okay. And I haven't reported anything to them. I just want to see how long this will take, and then maybe I can take it up to the adults if it ends up defeating me. But I think I can handle it at the moment. But then I don't know what they would do or say if they would all find out that this is what I'm going through. I haven't told them.
So, I mean, at some point, this episode will get out, the news will get out, not just of what you've been going through, but also of the fact that you are collecting evidence and that you moved to Pretoria. How are you going to handle that information being out?
I will be able to handle it. I think I'll be able to handle it. Like with my family knowing what is it that I'm going through. And I mean, he's still out on parole, but I just don't want to seem as to be that person who is now fighting with him, putting him back to jail and all of that. But then if push comes to shove, then that will have to be done.
What if he is already doing this to somebody else's child? Because already we know that his family is protecting him. And even if another child were to come out to say, this man is raping and abusing me, the likelihood of his family holding him accountable is slim to none.
Yeah, I have a very big problem with the justice system of my country, and a very big part of me has a lot to blame the justice system of this country, because I believe that if this was stopped from the very first time that he did it, I was not the very first girl he slept with. I saw other girls, and apparently there was a school that he was teaching in that he did this to girls, and nothing was done then. So at this point, I don't know, because even if I would say that the child needs to go and report it, I don't have much faith in the justice system of this country.
What would be stopping you, because you've already made your story public, from naming and shaming him in the interests of either yourself or other future victims?
Mentally, I don't think I'm ready for that, because they are not a good bunch to deal with, the whole family. They emotionally drain you, and you feel as though you are taking 1,000 steps back. And at this point, I feel like I have done my part, and I've met women who were also victims of him, but now they are happily married and all of that, and they do not want to pursue. And I'm not here to push them to pursue, because I know that it will come back to me, and I have done my part. He has been to jail for my part. And so if there's another victim out there who wants to stand up, they can do it all by themselves. I personally do not want to get involved in that situation, because I know what it can do for me mentally, and I do not want to go back there.
And thank you for explaining that so well, because, I'm sure you can imagine from the many, many comments that came through, people place a lot of responsibility on your head as a victim, where they expect you to do certain things, and they struggle to really understand. And the responsibility ranges from the 7-year-old version of you being raped by a grown man, and them not being able to understand why you went back to the house, because, to me, it's unfathomable to not understand that you were a child, you're a minor, and you carry no responsibility, but also all the way up until this point of the responsibility of you now still being the one where the justice system has failed, and now it's still being your responsibility to be like, he must not rape other children. Can you maybe share with us a side to this that many of us don't see? You've already touched on the fact that, yes, you've forgiven him. You aren't able to accept certain things that he has not said or said. At the same time, you are doing well, but at the same time, you are still healing. And at the same time, you're not mentally ready for certain things.
Yes, I'm definitely at that point where I am choosing myself, because for so many years I had to choose other people to make the story out there, and at the same time I was getting broken, So I've decided now to just set boundaries, and that's why I say to you that the comments, I never go and look at them, because now they will not let me be in my own space. And I have this boundary that I have created for myself, that I will not allow what people say about me get to me, and rather I just not see what they have to say.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of some of the things people had to say, because it wasn't all bad, there is some that I'd like to read to you. Firstly, everybody's elated and not surprised that this is the most watched episode, and not just in South Africa, globally, because the story is universal. But what's even greater is the fact that you had the courage to speak on things that many people are still unwilling to admit to themselves, and many people may have even mentally blocked out. So one question from @Nono Fotsedi 4305 on YouTube says, please share what we can look for in our daughters. So as in, what should we look out for as a sign if they are abused? And I mean, I would go as far as extending it that it shouldn't just be your daughter's sons or victims as well.
Yeah. So the best advice I always give is that know your child. Know your child's personality. Make it a point that you know your child, and you know that you can tell that when something is wrong with my baby. some children are born with, they're not thin, like, but now you realize that your child is losing weight. So those are the things that you need to look out for, because that's what my mom saw with me. She was like, no, man, I did notice that your neck is quite long. You've lost weight. But whenever I'd ask you, you'd say, no, you are fine. And also as a child, I couldn't explain as to what was going on with me, but the signs are always there. Sometimes other children are born hyper and, happy children, but then you get to see a decline in their behavior. That is what you should look out for as a parent. It doesn't have to be a girl. And also, let us be raw with our children. They understand things. We may think that they do not see or understand things, but let us tell what a penis is to a child and what a vagina is, so that they understand what happens. And I think if also at 7 or at 6 years old, I was told what a vagina is for, what a penis is for, then I would have understood what my dad was doing to me.
And I'm glad you're reiterating that, because so many people still can't. How could she not know? How could she not know? But we are all raised in different homes. And because your father is somebody that you trust, that's your hero, that's your everything, there is nothing he can do or say that is wrong. So connecting the dots definitely would have taken a long time. We have another question. Nomkosa Begani 7966 on YouTube. Relebogile, please share more details about the book and how we in the diaspora can get it.
All right. So I am a self-published author, and the book is sold directly from me. I don't know if I can leave my number where people can make an order to get a book.
What we'll do is we'll put an email address and put it down in the caption with the title, and just make it easy for people to order the book and be able to read the full story. But for those who don't know, can you share with us what parts you cover in the book?
Yeah, there's a lot. I start from how I got to live with him, just how he groomed me how he groomed my family's mind into thinking that I'll be safe with him and all of that, because I was schooling in rural areas, and he was like, no, I want my child to go to Model C schools. So that's how it went from him buying me clothes and sneakers, the best of the best, so that he was able to hide what he was doing to me. And I cover my dating life as a victim of rape. I cover my experience of not being able to have children again. And then lastly, I cover the chapter of forgiveness and the power of forgiveness and what that has done for me.
Can you share with us on that specific thing that you mentioned? Because many people are not aware of what can happen to a woman or a man when it comes to physical intimacy in safe spaces, where you now have to create a new narrative to what sex is, especially considering you were raped at such a young age. Can you just share with all of us how that can impact physical intimacy in your life?
Yeah, it impacted it negatively. Like, first of all, I did not want nothing to do with men. And then the second time, I am wanting everything to do with men. And now that is mixed up with the fact that I needed to find a father in every man I met. And I would just give myself to them. And, they did whatever they wanted to do to me, because my father already messed me up anyway. So, and then my dating life was terrible. I didn't want a boy touching me. I didn't want nothing. So I almost lost all my teenage life. And as I was growing now, being sexually liberated and all of that, I just did it however I wanted to do, because I was like, if I cannot find a man who will love me like my father, then you can do whatever you wanted to do to me. So that is the impact that what sexual abuse does to a person.
when you look back and considering the things your father did to you, would you say he loved you or he loves you?
No, he did not love me. He does not love me.
Mm. And do you think, especially now that we are familiar with certain terminology, do you think he just does not have the capacity to love you? Like they'll say, oh, this person is a narcissist. They don't actually know how to love someone. Or do you think, no, there are people he genuinely loves. It's just that he did not love me.
No, I don't think there's anyone that man loves. I don't think there's anyone. He is a narcissist. I don't think there is any person that he genuinely loves.
Yo, what would you like to share with all of the viewers in closing around things that you've learned, and maybe things that you would just like them to know?
All right. I would really like to mention that despite of everything that has happened, I have decided to open an NPO. It's called Rise Black Girl Child Foundation. And it is just my way to show my healing, when a victim comes and they like, I need help, I am able to offer that firsthand help. I am becoming the Zizo that I needed at that time when I was a victim of this circumstance. So I am trying to build that business up, and just I hope it will flourish into something that I will be genuinely proud of. It's really, for me, it's a pain that grows into something so beautiful, and that is my baby. And I do just want to say that I serve a God that restores everything, and being a woman is not identified as being able to carry a baby to full term and nurturing. Anything can be your baby. I also decided to write a book that is also my baby. So as I stand here, I can say that I have 2 babies that I am trying to grow into something that I will look at and love, and not look at it with pain.
Zizo, thank you so much for opening up. Thank you for being so real and authentic. The information and that you've shared and the things that have happened to you are still very difficult to digest for many people. And I believe it's still going to take years. And I just appreciate you having chosen to bring your story to this platform and to just be a part of growing it to what it is. And I hope that it just continues to heal, especially when it comes to sexual assault, when it comes to rape. What your father did to you was completely unacceptable and disgusting. And our justice system, unfortunately, has failed you, but not just you. It has failed all of his victims. It has failed your family. It has failed the entire country. I can only hope and pray that even if justice must be served in other ways, you get to bear witness to the work you have put in to growing and building yourself. Thank you again so much for the amazing work that you do. We will put all of the details of your organization as well as how to get your book in the comments down below. To all of you that are watching, if you feel that this episode has touched you in any way, if you feel that you also would like to share, we'll also provide some platforms, especially if you need support, but comment down below. And I am just sending a lot of love and light, especially if you are still dealing with the pain of being a victim of rape or sexual assault as a child, as an adult. Be you a boy, be you a girl, it does not matter who you may be. That pain, unfortunately, can continue for your entire life, but I continue to send you healing light. Thank you so much for joining us on Unpacked, the second chapter. We'll be back next time. Next time on Unpacked, the second chapter.
You guys dignified my story so much. Some traditional healers don't know that this is wrong, what they're doing.
Is there a bright side to Ubutwasa though? What?
I know the beauty of this gift.
Is there anybody that you would love to see on the second chapter? Maybe there's a question that you think I should have asked, or something that was burning after you watched and you wished you could have the guest back. Maybe you were confused, or maybe you felt like, there's definitely more to the story. Comment down below and let us know who you'd like to see, which story you'd like to revisit, which guest you'd like us to invite back for Unpacked, the second chapter.